Welcome to Upwork Proposal Secrets. In this course, we're going to share with you all the best strategies we have for making the best Upwork proposals we can. Whether you're new to Upwork, whether you're an experienced freelancer, these strategies could help you significantly improve your proposal game so that you can find more Upwork jobs and hopefully way higher Upwork paying jobs than what you're getting right now.
Arguably, it's probably one of the most important thing, probably the most important thing you can improve in your Upwork skill set, I guess. There's a ton of stuff that can be improved on Upwork so you have more success. If you've been struggling for a long time, maybe you improved your portfolio, maybe you improved your profile, maybe you changed your pictures a couple of times, but arguably, again, sending great proposals is probably the most important thing you could do to get successful on Upwork.
It's also, I think, the most overlooked of all these aspects. Not a lot of people really spend a lot of time mastering the proposals. And maybe that's the reason why this is such a great opportunity, because no one really makes good proposals. While a lot of people spend a lot of time on their profiles, a lot of people have great pictures, but most people have really bad proposals, which gives you an opportunity to stand out with competition that's very average. So we're going to help you with that. My name is Alec. Probably most of you will have found of this course through our YouTube channel. And this is Oliver. He's my business partner. He runs a web agency with me. He actually has almost 10 years of experience in sales. He's worked for some of the biggest companies in North America. He's one of the best representatives in all of Canada when it comes to client acquisition. He actually breaks records in most of the places where he has worked in client acquisition. And notably, he's ranked among the top 10 representatives in all of Canada for one of the biggest companies in the tech space. In my case, my name is Alec. I've been a freelancer since 2018. I found people willing to pay over $65 an hour for my time, even in my first year. And now I run a successful web agency with Oliver. We've hired over 20 people as of today. So we're running a pretty, I'm not going to say a big web agency, but we've hired a lot of people and we've worked on a ton of projects together. We've worked on projects for a lot of multi-million-dollar businesses. We have made, for instance, the website for the biggest fencing organization in probably North America.
Yep.
And we've worked on a lot of other really high-end websites. And hopefully, you're going to find a lot of valuable tips in this course from all we've learned from both of our backgrounds. Before we get started, you should probably take notes throughout the course because we're going to go into a lot of technical things. And there's been studies that say that when you don't take notes, people tend to forget a lot of what they hear. A lot of this is going to enter your short-term memory, but it doesn't mean that you're going to remember it in like a month or 2 months. So maybe tomorrow you're going to remember most of it, but that doesn't mean it's going to stay with you. While if you write what you hear, what happens is that your brain processes the information that you hear 3 times. If you only hear information, you process the information as you hear it. If you have to write it, you process the information as you hear it, you process it as you write it, and your brain, while you're writing it, also processes the words that you're writing on the page because you're also reading what you're writing. So this allows you to process the information more times, which increases the likelihood, or maybe more increases the percentage of what you hear that's going to lodge itself in your long-term memory and allow it to become a part of you and allow you to have more success, hopefully long-term. So yes, don't be afraid to pause the course at any moment if you feel like there's some interesting information that you want to note. In the next couple of lectures, we're going to have PowerPoint slides. You can use these as guidelines on what to take notes on. And do you have more to add to the intro?
Yep. One thing I would add is when we tell you to apply a concept, to do a task, to do an exercise, do it right now, even though you don't feel like it, even though you feel like right now is probably not the right moment for you to do it. This course has been made for people who are willing to put the work in to get success. We build this course for achievers, for people who are hungry for success. One thing you'll notice when you don't do the tasks and you don't do the exercises, or you don't apply what we teach you right away, and you wait and keep following the course, keep watching the video lectures, one thing you'll notice is you'll find yourself overwhelmed by the amount of things you have to try and the amount of concepts or exercise you have to do. And all of that can be avoided if you only do the exercises when we tell you to do them.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I would say you should do. If you want to be successful, you have to do that because that's the way the course has been constructed.
So are you ready to learn high-income freelancers' secrets for powerful Upwork proposals? Let's get started. Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to talk about where and how to send your proposals. Where to send your proposals matters a lot, all right? Because no matter what proposal you're going to send, no matter how good you are at sending your proposals, if you send your proposals to the wrong jobs, you may not have very good results, all right? There's a lot of things that we want to take into account. There's competition. There's scammers. A lot of people are finding scam jobs on Upwork. In fact, like the video we've made that has the most comment is a video on the most common scams on Upwork and how to avoid them. And, you know, it breaks my heart, but like every week we see more and more people comment on that video telling us their stories, and, you know, they're common on Upwork, and I feel increasingly so.
Yeah.
So we made this short video. It's not going to be about proposal writing, but it's going to be about how to find better jobs, how to use Upwork search function and that sort of thing, so that you increase the power of your proposals by sending them to the hopefully right places. There's no way to completely avoid scammers, but there's something that you can do to decrease the likelihood that basically you send your proposals to scammers.
And as you'll see, this video lecture is not only about avoiding the worst possible jobs and the scammers. This also is to help you find the greatest possible jobs for you. So it's all about getting the jobs that have the fewest competition on it. So if you send your proposal to an entrepreneur, to a client who received hundreds of proposals from hundreds of freelancers, the likelihood you will get the job is way less, and the likelihood if you get the job that it's going to be well paid with great conditions and with chances of getting rehired by the same by the same client diminish also. So first things first, just in case you're not comfortable with Upwork dashboard yet, as soon as you'll have created your Upwork account, the first thing you'll see is the search bar. All right. So here you can basically search for any type of any keyword related to a job you might want to get, and you'll find results. Like, for example, Portuguese, there's like 454 jobs found with the keyword Portuguese. So we have tips and tricks to help you use the search bar to your advantage and get the best job possible. But we'll go deeper into that a little bit later in that video. So just under the search bar, you have here jobs you might like. So these are suggestions that are offered to you by Upwork. It all comes down to the skills you've put into your profile when you created your Upwork profile, or if you change them, these will also change. It's also all about the past jobs you had. So Upwork will offer you different job depending on that. So there's best matches, but there's also most recent. So most recent is probably a way better option if you want to have the best results possible. From my experience, not as a freelancer, but as an entrepreneur, as a client on Upwork, I've hired tons of people on Upwork, and like 80% of the time, I'm looking for someone really fast, like right now, and it's a simple job.
Yeah, less than 2 or 3 hours, needs to be completed as fast as possible, hopefully today.
Yes, exactly. And I end up most often than not hiring one of the people that sent me a proposal like in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's one thing you'll probably be using a lot. You can always come back to this dashboard to see what job Upwork is offering you that is really, really recent.
Yeah. I think for most people who are going to be using Upwork once in a while, if you're just signing up to your profile once in a while, you might benefit more from using the search-based approach. Right. Yeah. These options, most recent, are better suited for someone who's willing to sign into their Upwork profile every 15-30 minutes or so, just to be able to apply these jobs. If you're desperate, if you really want jobs like right now, just having a tab open with Upwork on your computer while you're playing maybe video games on your second screen, or other, maybe it's valuable to buy a second screen in such an option, but like when you're doing other things, like you can have Upwork open on your phone or on your computer on another screen, and just do whatever else you're doing, and just keep refreshing this most recent page once in a while and see if there's something worth applying to.
So if we click, for example, on financial website design and development, we end up on that with that kind of pop-up page, and here there's a lot of crucial information you need to know where to find. So real quick, here is the description of the job. That's a crucial part of the job offer you have to read. All right. If you want to apply to that job, you'll have to read it, and we'll tell you a little bit later exactly how and why and what to do when you read that, and what to take out of it. We'll come back to that. Yeah. So that job, that entrepreneur is looking for a worldwide, which means any freelancer anywhere in the world. It's not always like that, and that can be taken into your advantage. So if you live, for example, in Spain, and you have a client here who's searching for someone only in Spain, this is something you'll take into this is something advantageous for you. You'll have a lot more opportunity with these types of jobs. But
Yeah.
anyway,
It's a form of gatekeeping. Like if the less people are able to apply to a job, that means that the less people are typically going to apply to a job or qualify, which allows you to have a better chance of getting paid more money or have a better chance of getting the job. It's one of the things that you can take into account in more of your overall job searching process when it comes to looking for keywords. Maybe there's some skills that you have that not a lot of people have, and therefore not a lot of people are going to apply to them. And if you're an intermediate or advanced, these are things that you can take advantage of, because one of the biggest problems you have on Upwork is that you're competing with people worldwide, and a lot of them are living in India, Pakistan, Mexico, willing to work for sometimes less than what is minimum wage in the US, and it's hard to compete against these people. But the less people are able to apply to a job, the more gatekeeping there is based on either skill or location or other factors. The less competition you're going to have, which means that typically the hourly rates can be higher, and your likelihood of getting chosen among the candidates tends to be higher as well.
Here's are the skills and expertise required for this job. So for instance, sometimes you might find jobs that require, I don't know, Ruby or some kind of obscure programming language, not a lot of people can write. So this also is something that can be advantageous to you if you know how to code that programming language, or if you have a job post that requires the skills or a level of expertise that not a lot of people will have on Upwork.
Yeah, you have to be careful about that though, because a lot of people will hear what we just said and think that the best option for them if they want to get jobs easily is just to learn these rare technologies that no one knows. But what you have to take into account as well is not just how few developers are able to apply to these jobs. You also have to take into account how many jobs there are for these technologies, or the skill level that you're going to have as a beginner in these technologies, because what really matters is the demand compared to the amount of freelancers able to fill that demand. And typically Upwork, what's most in demand right now is things that are related to web design and web development. All right. So even though a lot of people are able to offer web design and development, the fact that those are the things that there's a ton of jobs about, and that actually gives you a better chance of finding jobs in a lot of other obscure technologies.
Here you have the offer the client is making for the project. So this is only an offer. All right. So if, for example, you'd only be willing to do that for $2,500, you could offer $2,500 and maybe get the job. If, for example, you're willing to do the job for $1,200 and you think that it's worth your time and it works with your hourly rate, then you could be offering that and hope for getting the job based on price. Then you have the level of expertise needed for the job.
One thing I'll notice about this job is the person's looking for an intermediate. And lowering your price can be a good option oftentimes to increase the likelihood that you are hired. But when the client enters that they're looking for intermediates, sometimes if you lower your price, it's going to look like you have a lower skill, because people associate lower prices with lower skill. But oftentimes when they're writing advanced, it's more likely that if you lower your price, it could backfire, right? Because people looking for an intermediate and advanced are often looking for quality. And in those instances, if they're looking for quality and they associate a lower price with lower quality, lowering your price can be detrimental. Yeah. And so when you see beginner, and sometimes intermediates, lowering your price is more likely to be an effective strategy, but just be careful about that when you're writing to intermediate or advanced jobs. And sometimes you can see clues in what the client is writing in the text that they're looking for quality, in which instance it can help you decide if that's an intermediate job that you want to bid lower or higher on.
Then another crucial information you can find here is contract to hire. So that means that this client is willing to buy you from Upwork. Let me explain. So there's an option for clients on Upwork to pay to hire you outside of Upwork. All right. It costs a couple of thousands of dollars to your clients, and you don't get anything out of it except a job. All right. So it's a transaction between the client and Upwork that unlocks the possibility for you to work full-time for that company. So this is a possibility. I wouldn't count on it, but if that's something that you're interested in, it's crucial you know that it's possible and that it exists, and maybe you want to change the price you charge and the amount of work you put in every job depending on that. Then here you have the reviews, where they are, the job posted, and the amount of money they've spent on Upwork. These are crucial information to avoid scammers. We'll dive into much more details a little bit later, but know where it is. It's crucial. Then here you have the skills. Here you have the recent history of the client. All right. This is also very important. Now, if you want to apply to the job, if it was not clear enough yet, there's the option here. If you click on it, there's a long page with a lot of relatively important information. But what we'll be looking at in this course right here is further down the page, the cover letter, the proposal.
Yep. We're also going to talk about pricing as well, determining your hourly rate and how to set an hourly rate on Upwork. We have processes for both of them, which we're going to go through at the end of the course. But the most crucial aspects of your proposal are how you price them and your cover letter. And pricing is simpler than cover letters. So most of the course is going to be about how to write a powerful, impactful cover letter. We have a whole step-by-step process that we are going to be able to share with you through this course. So we're going to talk about the most important factors that determine typically your rates of success when you send proposals, but mostly when you choose who you send your proposals to. Factor number one is going to be whether or not you apply to jobs that are very competitive or less competitive. What happens is that competition, basically what it does is that the more freelancers apply to a job, typically, one of the things that happens is that the average price goes down, because when there's a lot of freelancers applying to a same job, the next freelancers who apply see that there's a lot of freelancers, so they will tend to lower their prices to get a chance. Upwork also is like the number one Upwork is also the most popular worldwide freelance marketplace in the world. Is the number one most used method for finding clients online by freelancers. So what this means is that it's a platform that has a ton of freelancers. And for a time, they've also refused thousands of applicants. They received, I think, thousands of applicants a day who wanted a new profile, and they started refusing a lot of them because what happened is that they had too few jobs for the amount of freelancers who wanted to become a part of Upwork. And so what happened is that because they realized that it was getting too hard for freelancers to find jobs and the average pay tended to go down because too many freelancers started applying, they started mass refusing applicants so that the prices of the jobs could remain somewhat higher, and so that the people who did get approved on the platform had a higher chance of finding jobs. All right, but even despite these efforts, it's still incredibly competitive. All right, so what this means is that the majority of jobs on the platform are going to be jobs that a lot of other freelancers are probably going to apply, and a lot of these freelancers, because it's a worldwide platforms, live in countries where they can probably afford to live and live with a relatively good amount of comfort, with possibly less than what would be minimum wage in your country if you're living in maybe Canada or the United States. So it's hard to compete oftentimes when other freelancers are willing to do the same work you do for less than what is minimum wage in your country, and in their country, like, they're living well off of it. So you can't like compete with these people oftentimes when the clients are trying to pay as low as possible. But what you can do is to choose where you apply. You don't have to apply to every job, and so you can spend time using the advanced search function or other functionalities on Upwork to try to find some types of jobs, some keywords, some types of jobs or clients that not a lot of freelancers are applying to, and therefore what happens is that you end up having less competition on these jobs that you apply to. It also can mean that you spend less time searching for jobs, because because if you can find some types of jobs or keywords that are less competitive and that you have a higher chance of getting hired, it also means that you can just keep using those same keywords and be able to, within a lower amount of time, just search these same keywords and apply to a number of jobs and have a higher likelihood of getting hired, which means that you spend less time overall finding jobs, which increases the percentage of the hours that you work every week that is paid, because you're not getting paid while you find jobs, you're just getting paid while you do those jobs. So the less time you spend looking for jobs, typically the higher your overall hourly rate, because it means that a higher percentage of the hours every week that you spend working are going to be paid. So the tips that you can use to increase the likelihood that you can find those less competitive jobs is, number one, you want to try multiple keywords in the search function. All right. What this is going to do is it's going to allow you to find different types of jobs. And what's interesting is that there's often a lot of synonyms, or often a lot of different ways that clients could phrase a certain type of job or project, and a lot of freelancers only search for the most common way to phrase a project. There's also the possibility that there's different jobs that maybe a lot of freelancers just don't think about. Right? There's probably a lot of things that you could do with your skills that are not the most common job that people would think they could do with skill sets similar to yours. And therefore, if you search these less common things that the freelancers might think about when they look for jobs, it could allow you to find jobs that a lot of other freelancers could do, but they just don't think about them. So they don't search for these jobs, they don't find them. So this is another way that you could use to allow you to find less competitive jobs. Number two, there's a lot of ways that you can use the search function on Upwork to manipulate the types of results that you're going to use. In fact, we're going to share with you multiple of them in this lecture. One of them is to use quotation marks over a keyword. If you see this example, like we have quotation marks over HTML5, this gives you a search for exact phrases. That means that when you write the quotation marks around HTML5, it means that when you search for HTML5 within quotation marks, Upwork search results are only going to give you search results that basically include HTML5 or quotation mark WordPress development. It will be phrased exactly that way in the search results that you get. If you only write HTML5 or WordPress development without the quotation marks, you will also see the synonyms and similar jobs to what you're writing. So what that means is that if you want to be able to find, for example, jobs with the keywords that you found that are less competitive and you don't use these quotation marks, if you write these keywords without the quotation marks and you search, you're going to find a lot of other junk that isn't exactly what you're looking for. And learning to use these different methods of manipulating the search results on Upwork are ways that are going to allow you to save time, because it's going to make sure that you get more relevant results whenever you are using the search bar. Number two, the minus operator is so powerful, right? It allows you to basically tell the Upwork search function to remove keywords from the search results. For example, let's say you want to find jobs for web development, and you want to remove mobile app development. Well, on the PowerPoint, we have badly used the minus operator. In this case, minus mobile would be removed. We would probably have add minus app as well. But basically what this search would do is it would give you all results for web development, app development without the word mobile. So it would give you all of the results for web development and app development that don't include the keyword mobile in the title or in the description of the job. Number four, you can use the or operator, which basically gives Upwork the opportunity to give you either one or the other of the keywords that you include. This is generally less useful than the ones we've just mentioned, because the ones we just mentioned are used to give you more narrow search results that are more that are closer to exactly what you're looking for. This operator, the or operator, is basically giving you broader search results, which gives you access to other things. This is probably something that is going to be more useful at the beginning of your career when you're starting out trying to find different keywords that you could use, because it's going to allow you to see more of what's out there. But over time, you're probably going to gravitate more to the quotation marks or the minus operator. You can also use the minus operator before quotation marks if you want to remove an exact phrase. For example, if you want to remove minus WordPress development or minus quote-unquote mobile app development. In those cases, for example, if we look at number 3, at the example down there, if we wanted to remove exactly mobile app development, we could just have used quotation marks before mobile and after development. And in this case, we would have gotten results for web development without any results that include the exact phrase mobile app development in that order. Phrases that would include a development for mobile app would not be removed if we didn't put the quotation marks, because the exact phrase that's removed is, well, when you put quotation marks, basically what it says to the search result is that you only either want to see, if you don't put the minus operator, exactly what's between the quotation marks, or if you use the minus operator before quotation marks, it basically tells the Upwork search function that you only want to remove this exact sequence of words that's between the quotation marks. So if you want to use the minus operator with a lot of different quotation marks phrases, you can do that. Like you can put a minus operator before quotation mobile app development, and you can also put a minus operator before quote app development for mobile, and in this case you would remove both phrases. Or you can just use a minus before a keyword that doesn't include a space, which would remove, for example, in this example, the way it's written, it would remove the word mobile. But because there's no quotation marks around app development and mobile, it would not remove mobile app development. It would just remove mobile, which in a sense would probably both remove mobile and mobile app development, because mobile app development includes the keyword mobile, and if mobile is removed, like, you're not going to see mobile app development, but you can see app development regardless. So number 5, the advanced search option. Basically, Upwork, when you're using search, they have a lot other advanced search options that you can use. These are not options that you write in the search bar. Like, the operators are things that you write in the search bar, but there's also advanced search functions that you can use. There's tons of them. We're not going to go through them in this course, but it's like when you're using YouTube, when you're using Google, they all these search engines have different options that you can use. And if you fiddle with these different options, you can also find other things that could help you narrow your results and get closer to different things, different jobs that you might want, or finding other discoveries that could help you in the future make better searches.
Yeah, and it's also crucial to keep in mind that if you want to use the advanced search options, for example, for location or budget or experience or whatever, you can always use them in combination with the operators and all the other tools we've shared with you in the first few tips.
Yeah, and what's interesting about the operators is what you're going to notice if you use, for example, Google a lot, or other different search engines, is that they often have similar tools you can use to narrow down your results. So oftentimes if you're using Bing or Google and you're like, oh my God, these results are not exactly what I'm looking for, maybe you could just learn different operators you can use on that platform to give you better results. So now, next, another really key thing is that you want to avoid scammer. All right, scammers, the problem that you have is that scammers, if they want to scam people, they have to make jobs that look like real jobs. Obviously, because if it doesn't look like a real job, it's going to be hard to scam people. If it looks like a scam, people are not going to apply or not going to go with what the scammer is going to ask them. So the fact that they're trying to make jobs that look like real jobs make it tricky for us to find when they're scams and when they're not scams. Like, we couldn't tell you, like, look for this thing or this thing or this thing, and when this happens, they're scammers, because scammers, you know, they have different, they change the way that they do things. All jobs are different. And so what I realized is that Oliver, we used to work in a motel, right? And there, what they did basically was they refused every person who wanted to rent a room when they didn't have a credit card. Well, the reason they refuse people who don't have credit cards is that the majority of people who used to rent rooms that caused problem, broke things in the rooms, left them very unclean, or all that sort of thing, or made a lot of noise in the night, or that sort of thing, tended to be the people who didn't have credit cards. So by just refusing people who don't have credit cards, what the motel was able to do is basically just get rid of 90% of the problems that they had with bad customers. It's not that if you don't have a credit card, you're a bad person, but bad customers tended to be people who didn't have credit cards. So just by refusing people who don't have credit cards, they ended up having so much less problems with people who were shouting in the night, or people who left the rooms with the TV broken or stole stuff or that kind of thing, that it ended up just being more worthwhile for the customer to refuse, for the motel to refuse these people and not get their money, than to accept them. And, you know, maybe they could have found other ways to try to find clues that these people are scammers or not, but like,
definitely
it's difficult, right? And this simple rule is something that any employee can follow and allow the motel to have good results. So what we've devised for you is a golden rule that you can use similarly to a motel that should allow you to skip a lot of the problems in a very easy way. And the golden rule is basically this. If you look at a client, we've shown you earlier where you can find information about the client on the job posting, if you look at the client and you notice that they haven't paid anyone in the past, or they have like really bad reviews overall, you don't apply, right? If they haven't paid anyone in the past yet, you don't apply. Simple as that. Some of the people that have never hired in the freelancers in the past, never paid freelancers on the platform in the past, might have been good clients.
Actually, probably most of them are good clients. But the thing is, the price to pay when you get hired by a scammer is too much to risk it.
Yeah. And sometimes they start like asking you for more work for free, and they start like threatening you that they're going to give you a 1-star review and say a lot of lies about you and that sort of thing.
Losing money is one thing, but losing time is a completely other thing. Like, you can't get back time. You'll get back money. Like if the only thing you lose is money, I mean, at the end of the day, you'll make more. Yeah. But time, man, that's precious. And when you get trapped by a scammer and you start working for weeks for free in hopes of finally getting paid, man, that's just cruel. That's sad.
Yeah.
And that's the main reason why you just shouldn't go with the clients who didn't pay anyone on Upwork yet or don't have good reviews. That's too high of a risk to pay.
Yeah. You know, that's not exact. I'm about to give you other tips about scammers because I realize this is valuable, even though this is not really about proposals. If you see people who ask you to communicate outside of Upwork, don't. That's a red flag, right? And if you see people asking you to do free work, that's also a red flag. A lot of one of the most common scams is just people who pretend that they want to hire someone and they're like, oh, can you do this job for me for free just so I can see if you're good enough? And what they do is they ask for free work to a bunch of different freelancers and they get the whole project done for free.
Yeah.
Right. So they end up hiring no one. Free work, communicating outside of Upwork, clients who've never hired anyone in the past. Those are 3 of the red flags that you can look out for. Next, you want to find jobs that are perfect for you. One of the problems you have on Upwork is that if you have bad reviews, if you have 1-star reviews, 2-star reviews, it can be a stain that makes it harder for you to find future jobs. So you want to avoid finding jobs that you're not qualified for. If your skills are not high enough for you to complete a job, maybe you can get hired, but it can decrease your chances that your future proposals are going to be approved because you can send a good proposal, but if your profile is stained with a bunch of 1 or 2-star reviews, makes it harder.
Yeah.
Right.
And one thing I want to add is, especially at the beginning, it might be hard emotionally and it might be difficult not to get desperate for jobs. Because maybe what you do, your specialty in web development or design is very specific, and you don't have that many opportunities on Upwork for when you start and when you don't have a lot of job history on your profile. And at that point, you might be tempted to start applying for jobs that are recommended to you by Upwork that are really recent, but it's crucial you stay patient and you stick to the game plan.
In the next lecture, we are going to show you a process that you can use to write a proposal step by step. But before we get into that, we're going to share with you important general writing advice. So the first proposal writing secret is that your brain is going to try to trick you. All right. What we mean by that is that writing proposals is not very complicated, but your brain is going to want to think this is complicated. We're going to show you a process, a process with, I think, 8 steps in the next lecture. It's not a complicated process, but oftentimes in life, like when you have been struggling for a long time, for example, on Upwork, you've struggled to find jobs, your brain is trying to look for complicated solutions because it sees the problem as something big because of all the wasted effort that you've spent so far. If you spent a lot of wasted effort, you feel like the problem is massive, you feel like you need a massive solution, but oftentimes this is your brain is making a bad assumption, and sometimes simple solution can solve big problems, and this is one of those cases.
Yeah, for example, because it can be applied to way more things than only Upwork and sending proposals. It can be applied to almost anything I can think of right now. So, for example, when I started my sales journey 10 years ago as a young salesperson, I was trying to get my hands on every little piece of advice, every books. I was looking for the gold nugget that would make me the best salesperson possible. And every time I would try something and it wouldn't work, I would be throwing out the advice out the window and jumping on a new book, a new course, spending thousands of dollars on Grant Cardone University, on the Wolf of Wall Street's courses. And for myself, what I noticed is when I took a good advice and I just applied myself to make that good advice work and try it again and again without trying to find the magic pill that would make me sell websites or tech products like crazy from one day to the next, and I would just try to do what I've been taught as well as possible day after day, while trying to improve myself at applying what I've been taught. I found I had the most results. So I've been stuck for 2 years, 3 years, maybe 4 years, trying to find that gold nugget, that magic pill. And in a matter of weeks, when I just decided that I would stick to some of the advice I've been given and try to improve the little details of how I would do what I've been taught, I had massive results.
Yeah.
So same thing applies with Upwork proposals, at least for me and for Alec. So don't try to make it too complicated. Just get good at applying what we will be teaching you in that lecture, in the upcoming lectures.
Yeah, I think one of the things that makes me think about is that a lot of arts are things that the best people in those arts are the people who apply the fundamentals really well, not the people who look for a lot of complicated techniques and try to have the most varied arsenal. Like if you look at World Championship Karate, Kyokushin Karate, the best guys almost only use like 2 different types of kicks and just like basic straight punches and hook punches. Like it's basically 4 techniques that they just master really well, and they're tough people, fit people. Like the key to becoming a good fighter is not to be like, oh, well, I can't beat this guy, I guess I'm going to learn a new kick. Oh, I'm going to learn another new kick. Now I'm going to do like spinning crescent kicks and like these spinning uppercuts and like I don't know what kind of bullshit like you can throw. Like the best fighters just get their fundamentals really well and practice them until they're fast enough, strong enough, precise enough. And that's what really matters, not being able to do like spinning crescent kicks and like jumping uppercuts and I don't know what kind of bullshit you can think about. But mostly, if you're not finding the results that you want at first, like you can go through this course back again, see maybe there's details you've missed, maybe there's things that you can look inside your cover letters and notice that, hey, maybe I didn't do a great job there, maybe I could just improve in my next ones. Sometimes the key is not to try to find more information or more techniques or more spinning, jumping, uppercut elbows. Like sometimes it's just mastering your straight punches and your straight kicks, and that's what gives you the results you're looking for.
But don't get us wrong. If you apply bullshit tactics and tricks and strategies that's been taught to you by some bullshit gurus that don't know anything, like even though like you're probably gonna have a hard time finding success that way. So it's once you have good advice you can trust, get good at them. Yeah. There's one story I wanted to share. I'm teaching right now students of ours sales and how to manage clients, and some of them I even coach them doing cold calls and all that. And all that kind of stuff. But basically the goal is to help them find comfort and confidence in communicating with customers and helping them find higher paying jobs and build relationships with successful entrepreneurs, mostly outside of Upwork. And one of our students had a hard time not overcomplicating the process we were teaching him.
Yeah.
So first coaching I've made with him. So he's telling me all about the problems he have with his sales process, and for like 25 minutes I am there and I'm just confused, and he's talking about all the problems he have and all that stuff.
Listening to all the things that he thinks he had to do that you didn't even teach in the course.
Yeah, and at the beginning I was like, yeah, well, sure, you could do that, and if you want to, we could I can help you do that better and all that stuff. But he was talking about social media and building a landing page for selling his websites and doing ads and all that stuff.
I think he also said he wanted to write a book before he started sending proposals to look like an expert or something.
That's when I jumped in and put a stop to all of that madness. He told me he wanted to write a book before he could start applying the advice we taught him in the course he took.
Yeah.
So you don't have to write a book to send proposals on Upwork.
Honestly, like we're not just saying that. Like this guy's an amazing guy.
Yes.
Like he's hardworking. He's one of our best students. He really benefited from our coaching. He listens to what we say. He's hardworking. I mean, I also have really big problems. Well, I had a lot of problems when I started. Now I think I fixed most of them. But we're basically using this guy as an example of the most extreme case that we've seen of people like trying to make things overcomplicated. You might overcomplicate it in a way less flamboyant and excessive way. This is just one way that we've seen it. But we love that guy.
This illustrate how, because that guy is one of our most intelligent student, and he's really good with every step of the process. He's just like one of the best students we have. it just illustrates how much it can happen to anyone. No one is safe from that. I think that's the true.
Yeah, I was
true thing you should get out of that story.
I was watching a course from a billionaire, and this brings me back to it. And what he said is that, well, he was teaching a very simple process on how to make money. And what he said is that the higher the IQ of his students for this specific process, the lower their results were. He was really surprised by that, but when he checked different students, the one who had less than 100 IQ tended to have more success than the one who had like 120, 130. And what he realized is that it's just because the intelligent people tended to overcomplicate things, while the less intelligent, let's use that term, students tended to just follow the process and get the results. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that the most intelligent people could not find good results. It's just that they tend to overcomplicate, or maybe like part of their brain feels good about doing things that most people could not think about or could not do, and this actually backfires because this process that they think about themselves that's technically more complicated is not necessarily more effective. So yeah, fight this urge to try to overcomplicate this process. Especially if you're an intelligent guy, you might have to, you might be more prone to try to overcomplicate things. Secret number 2 is you want to customize and tailor every proposal you make, all right? Because generic copied and pasted proposals rarely work on Upwork, all right? A lot of clients on Upwork end up frustrated because they start working with people, they hire people who did not understand the job well, either because of a language barrier or because they didn't really spend the time to read the whole job posting. And what happens is that the client receives sometimes a less than satisfying result. And even when the freelancer is willing to redo some of the work for free to deliver good results to the client still has to wait hours and days and maybe weeks again to get the revision done, which is frustrating for the clients. Or they end up working with freelancers whose English skills are not good enough, and so it's a frustrating process to get them to do the revisions properly. And what happens is that clients who use Upwork for a long time tend to experience these problems a lot, and so they tend to gravitate toward proposals made by people who demonstrate that they understand and have read the job. And copied and pasted proposals, even if they're made in a way that makes you look like an expert, makes you look like a professional, showcases the fact that you've worked for years in this field, showcases all your biggest achievements, despite all of that, despite the fact that you look competent, which the client may not doubt, it remains that these proposals do not convey to the client that you have spent the effort to look at the job posting and that you basically understand the job given.
Over the years as a client on Upwork, I've developed that rule for myself not to hire anyone that uses templates without at least customizing it so it's clear and obvious he understands the job and is truly and deeply confident in his or her ability to complete the job. Because so many times, as you've said, I've been disappointed, had to ask for feedbacks, or worse than that, I would be interviewing them on the phone and asking them a couple of questions, and here and there, after we've messaged back a couple of times, now that we're on the phone, that we've scheduled an appointment, that I've took my time, that I've scheduled them for a week in my calendar, they tell me, they ask me some questions about the job that I've wrote in the proposal, and they tell me that they're not competent for the job.
Yeah, in the job posting.
Yeah, in the job posting. So for me, I can't talk for every client on Upwork, but for me, it's a rule. If they send me what looks like a template, red flag.
Yeah.
Most of the time, if I have a lot of proposals for that job post, I just delete it right away. Yeah. If not, if I don't have that many job posts, I read it very carefully, and I try to figure out, do they understand the job, and do they really feel confident in their abilities to complete that job. And I'm really, really selective in which freelancer I hire once I figure out that they're using a template. And it's really not that hard to figure out if someone is using a template. Really, I've been in client acquisition for 10 years. I've been in sales for 10 years. So of course, for me, it's extremely easy and obvious to see if the person is using a template, because I've used them. I've used templates a bunch of time. But even when I'm using templates and when I'm customizing them the best I can on whatever platform I'm sending proposals to, or over emails, I tend to have way better results when using a custom-made email or proposal than when I'm using a proposal, a template.
Yeah, we're not giving you the advice that you should never use template, but what we're saying is basically, when you're using templates, you should use templates that have spaces in them for custom text.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe a custom intro. Like, there's some parts of your proposals that are not necessarily going to change, like the layout of it, where the bullet points are. It doesn't really matter that you keep the same. Your hourly rates can remain the same on all your templates. Like, where you write each thing can be the exact same on every proposal that you send, but you have to customize the text inside of that template to convey that this is not just generic copy pasted to every client.
So of course I would have better results just customizing every email from A to Z, but the thing is, I wouldn't trade the templates we've built over the years for anything in the world, because it saves us so much time. But the way we customize it is very specific and is made in a way that brings you as much results as possible for the time you spend working on it.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the most important factors that determine the rates of success for proposal cover letters. Clients want to work with professionals who do their best to deliver good work. All right. There's a lot of things that convey that you're cutting corners, right? That you're not doing the best. One of them is that you're using a template, which conveys that you don't even take time to write a custom proposal. Maybe you didn't even take the time to read the job posting. If you're not even taking the time to read the job posting, would the client really feel like you're not going to be the type of person who's going to cut corners at other parts of the job? Right? You're not even ready to read the job posting. Are you really, really not going to be cutting corners while you do the job? That's why it's a red flag. A copied and pasted proposal is a red flag. Here's an example. Hi, I'm excited to submit the proposal for the job as a WordPress developer. The job. We don't even know anything about the job. Great. As a WordPress developer, great. I have experience of more than 5 years in the field of web development. I'm also going to note that the way that this is phrased is a bit weird, right? It doesn't sound like a native English speaker said that. So that's another red flag for you, because clients tend to be frustrated and tired of working with freelancers who don't understand the requirements of the job, or when they call the freelancer, they tell them to do something, and the freelancer is just like, yes, sir. And when they give back the work once they did the thing that the client asked, it's the results are not what the client expected. So it's something frustrated that clients often are tired of. So there are actually multiple red flags in this one.
I've came to after a while on Upwork, I have some kind of hypothesis on this. I feel like depending on where you come from, the culture changes a lot. And there are a lot of places, especially in some countries in Asia, where the culture is so much different from what it is in most of Europe and America. The example actually is some of the freelancers, depending on where they come from, don't tell you when they don't understand, because in their culture it's not polite to do that to your boss or to the person that hires you. So that's also part of why you want to sound as a native English speaker as much as possible. It's not because people don't like you if you come from Pakistan or any other country. I don't know.
No, it's just that a lot of the times, because of the culture difference, the clients don't take that into account when they're hiring freelancers, and they don't adjust the way that they communicate, or the freelancers don't adjust the way they communicate to the client to account for these differences. Maybe you don't even realize you have these differences. And what happens is the client, for this specific example where the freelancer wouldn't tell the client that they didn't understand what the client asked of them, well, the client ends up with a less than satisfying result, which the client might interpret that as maybe freelancers from that country are not good freelancers, and maybe that's racist, maybe that's untrue, but for the client, that's still the result is still going to be that the client is going to stop working with freelancers from that country, or maybe just decide that they're going to be only working with freelancers who are native English speakers.
And that can be avoided just by having by writing sentences that sounds like something a native English speaker would say. Because most people won't. I guess I don't know, but I feel like most clients won't think about it on a conscious level, but more on an unconscious level. And if they feel like you sound like the last guy who couldn't do the job properly, and you come from the same country and all of that, all red flags, and it reduces the odds that you get the job.
If your proposals ideally, like, even if you're not a native English speaker, your English might be good enough that you understand the requirements of the job. If the English in your proposal sounds like a native English speaker, that can be enough to get you through the door and to an interview. And what happens is that maybe the client is still going to give you the job, because while you may have an accent, while you may, you're not a native English speaker, so you speak differently, while he speaks with you, he's probably going to realize that you understand very well what you're talking about and what he's talking about. And so he might decide to hire you. The goal, what we're trying to say is not that clients never want to hire people who are not native English speakers. But if you're not a native English speaker, getting a proposal that's written and that looks like it's written by an native English speaker or closest to that as you can make it can be the thing that allows you to get the clients to give you a chance to either have an interview or have a job. And once you have that interview or job, if you can convey through your communications with the client that you are good enough at English, even though you're not a native English speaker, to understand the requirements of the job, most of the time they're not gonna, fire you to get someone else because of that.
And all of that is not crucial for every client out there. All of that is just about improving the odds that you get the jobs most of the time. It's all about odds and the relative chances you have to get each jobs.
Yeah,
it's a good rule of thumb, even though some clients wouldn't care if you write in a poor manner.
Yeah. You're not going to get most of the jobs that you apply to, even if your proposals are amazing, even if your profile is amazing. It's still going to be a minority of the jobs that you get. But following best practices can improve the percentage of the jobs that you apply that end up hiring you, or maybe, there's also situations where you apply to jobs that pay more, but there's a less percentage of chance that they hire you, but still it ends up giving you more money overall. Below mentioned links will help you to perceive my skills and work. Oh, there's a typo here. Great. Adshop.co, designerdram.com. There's better ways to showcase your work than just give a link. I think if you explain why this link is valuable, and a lot of these websites sound like that they might be just scams or might have malware on it. igpa.uillinois.edu, unless you're living in that kind of place, I don't know, I guess it's some education place, it kind of sounds like it's a website I'm going to click on that might have ads for porn things, or might have malware on it.
I think selecting one website and explaining why it's worth mentioning that website for the job post would work well. I don't see any problems with that. But
I think it would definitely be better than this.
12 random websites. If I was to receive that proposal, I wouldn't open any of them. I wouldn't open any of these links. There's red flags after red flags, and
typos. Yeah.
I'm ready for any type of meeting, calls. Would be glad to have an opportunity. Looking forward to work with you. Best regards. The end, I love the end, but I wouldn't get there. If I was to receive that proposal, I wouldn't get to the end. I wouldn't read it all the way there.
Yeah, I think most clients are not going to get past the first or second sentence.
Yeah.
They just receive too many proposals. Unless you can hook them very quickly and convey very quickly that this is not a copy-pasted proposal, they're not going to read through. And even the clients who go through the whole proposal, even the clients who go through the whole proposal, typically they don't read through it all. They just skim through it, right? Proposal writing secret number 3, you want to write as if you were talking to that person. This is probably the number one most common tip that you can see in copywriting courses. Copywriting is basically the art of writing text that sells. It can be ads, it can be landing pages, sales pages, it can be newspaper ads. Copywriters are people that companies hire when they want text that basically sell their products. So what they tell you is that you need to write as if you were talking to one person. Doesn't mean that they write the same way that when they talk to people one-on-one. But what happens is that most new person who tries to write marketing text, which, let's face it, your Upwork proposal cover letter is marketing text. Most people who write sound weird when they write. They try to sound intelligent. You're going to see a lot in like school essays in high school or college. Like people use these complex ways of making sentences, use these intelligent sounding words. And typically, like a copywriting teacher could point out everything that you do wrong and, you know, allow you to fix all these points one-on-one, but just telling you to write the same way that you talk typically makes the student's text sound a lot more natural and gets them very close to what their text should sound like, right? It's like one piece of advice, one guideline that fixes typically 1,000 problems. And so maybe after some time, you're going to stop writing the way you write. But after having practiced writing in a way that's similar to the way that you talk, you've practiced writing very close to what your writing should be. And after that, you go from that point toward improving it more. But from where you are probably at right now, just making sure that what you write sounds like the way that you would talk if you were a native English speaker. If you are, great. If you're not, like, try to make writing that sounds like a native English speaker that talks to a person one-on-one. That can fix probably most of your mistakes in writing. And one of the problems that people have, especially intelligent people, is that a lot of your habits that have allowed you to get good grades in school are actually going against you when you're trying to write marketing text. Your teachers may have encouraged you to write complex sentences, use complex words, use a high variety of words, but those are not really benefiting you when it comes to writing marketing.
And one tip, if you are a native English speaker or if you are fluent enough in English, is to take your phone or your computer, if you have the option on your computer, and choose the option to write what your cell phone is hearing. So you can just speak your proposal out loud. Yeah. And it writes itself. Once you're done, you go and edit it.
Yeah.
It's one tip Alec gave me back when I was trying to find clients with him with our agency using emails, because we have a couple of clients who wanted to learn how to do that. And Alec taught me everything he knew about email marketing, and that's one of the best tip he gave me.
Yeah. It can also allow you to write your proposals faster for a lot of people, especially if you're not used to writing the way that you talk. And you also want to stay polite. Like, a lot of you talk with a lot of swears. You don't want to, like, okay, like that's the way you talk in real life, but that doesn't mean you want to use inappropriate words in your proposal, right? Proposal writing secret number 4, keep it short and sweet. Oh boy.
Yep.
I've already talked about it a bit, but clients don't read long proposals. They don't spend a lot of time watching each proposal because typically they receive over 20 proposals. They're busy people because they have businesses to run, or they have a lot of responsibilities in their business. If they're like an executive working for a business that is tasked with hiring a freelancer, like they probably have a lot of other tasks as an executive. They don't want to read long proposals and spend a lot of time doing it, so they just skim proposals. And if proposals are too long, and like the way they're not going to spend more time skimming it, like they're just going to spend more time noticing words or ideas that are not valuable or not helping you sell.
Especially when job is really, really interesting. And because these jobs tend to have more freelancers applying to it, more competition. You'll find that, well, let me share you a story. The first job I posted on Upwork as a client was a web development job. I was looking for someone long-term working with me on some of the websites I was working on. And the way I wrote the job, I guess, the timing maybe, I received like 85 proposals in a couple of hours, maybe a day or less. Almost all of them were really bad. The proposal I received were really bad, and most of them were so long there was no chance I would read all of that. It's like if you have an ad for YouTube. The ad is 15 seconds. Maybe you'll watch it. Maybe you'll remember what's been said in that ad. But if you have an ad, recently I had some ad like that on YouTube.
5-10 minutes.
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
There's no chance I'm watching all of that.
Yeah, I think I got one that was like an hour and a half or something.
Yeah.
Like
for YouTube ads, it might be worth it, but for your proposals, it's not. You're competing against too many other freelancers to hope for your clients to go and read all of that. As a client, especially if the job is really interesting, we want to have clear, concise, short and sweet proposals.
Yeah. Using bullet points can be really helpful because a lot of words are necessary to write sentences, but that doesn't mean they're interesting or valuable information for the client. Also, when it comes to the way that you write your sentences, don't include unnecessary information. Try to write simple, fast, clear sentences.
And don't worry, we'll go into much more details on how to write your proposals short and sweet, how to use bullet points and all of that in a future lecture. So don't worry about it. Right now, we're just going through the concepts.
Yeah. Proposal writing secret number 5, you want to deviate from your template and general guidelines sometimes. All right? The reason we're saying that is that we're going to give you I think an 8-step process on how to write a proposal in an easy way that is a powerful proposal as much as we can. But sometimes, for example, the client include instructions and guidelines. Maybe they tell you that they want the proposal to follow a certain format, and obviously, like our format is probably not going to be the exact format that the client asks for. And oftentimes, the executives or business owners that post these job postings will just ignore all proposals that don't follow their guidelines. Right? Maybe they ask you to include some information that isn't covered in our proposal template or proposal process. If you don't include it, like they will, even if your proposal is good, the client is probably just going to ignore you. So yeah.
And it can be as simple as the client asks you what is your favorite fruit? Or I don't know. They ask you for simple, dumb information, but if you just don't give it to them, they will immediately assume that you didn't get through the job post description. And that's actually actually one thing I at some point I tried to do when I was posting a lot of job on Upwork. I would try to ask for stuff, really simple stuff, that the freelancers had to include in their proposals, and if they did not include it, I would reject the proposal immediately.
It's kind of an easy way for you to filter out who read the job posting and who didn't. Yeah, even asking for their favorite fruit is an easy way for you to notice if they've read it. Like, you can just include, like, to show me that you've read this whole job posting, and tell me what's your favorite fruit in the first or second line of your proposal. Like, I actually really like that.
You won't find a lot of clients doing that kind of stuff, but probably more clients than you think will ask you to include some documents or information in your proposals, and if you don't comply, they will throw your proposal out the window immediately.
Proposal writing secret number 6: use a professional and polite tone. All right. We have an example. We've had a potential freelancer who applied to one of our jobs, and he started, "Hey, bro, I could do this for you," or I don't know what his second sentence was.
It was, "Hey, bro, I can do that for you."
Yeah, it's like
pretty much it.
It just feels weird. No one really does that. Maybe that helps him sometimes. I guess he stands out in a sense, but it's a red flag. Yeah.
These are the type of thing that could work as a salesperson. I can tell you right away that these are the kind of thing that could work face to face with an entrepreneur. So you're a web developer, you're a web designer, and you go to an event and you meet entrepreneurs. "Hey, bro, what's up? I can do that for you." This might work depending on the context and everything, for sure. But over email, over text message, over proposals on Upwork, on a platform where you post a job as an entrepreneur and are receiving tons of proposals, you expect a lot more professionalism and a much more polite tone to your proposals. I can confidently say that for most clients out there, these types of approach is a huge red flag.
Yeah.
You don't feel like working with someone like that. There's too many freelancers on Upwork who are not professional and who are not polite and who are not great in English and who don't respect deadlines and cut corners. There are too many freelancers like that for you to expect such an approach to work well on a statistical basis.
Yeah. You also have to understand that a lot of clients do not see you like an equal. They often see you as replaceable cheap labor.
Yeah.
Basically. They may have a lot of different reasons for being cocky and thinking like you are less of a good human being than they are and less worthy of respect than they are. They might want a certain level of you treating them like a superior, and or they might be put off by you treating them like an equal because of the fact that their ego makes them see you like not an equal. So unless you use a professional and polite tone, this can make them I will say slightly shocked. I don't know if it's the right word, but on the platform where a lot of clients see you as replaceable cheap labor and want you and see you as their subordinate and as less of quality as individuals than they are, like being like, "Hey, bro, not the best option.
If one day your freelance career evolve and you start getting clients outside of Upwork with other client acquisition methods, you'll notice that this is less of a problem. With basically all the other client acquisition methods I know of, and I've tried many of them for websites and other products. But as long as you're on Upwork, that's something you should definitely expect. Not all the time, but a decent amount of time.
Yeah. Proposal writing secret number 7, you want to write in simple, basic English. I already touched on this a bit when I said that you shouldn't write like complex sentences with overcomplicated words. One of the reasons that you want to write in simple, basic English is that I think the average reading level in the United States is like 8th grade level. Mm-hmm. That's not like high school graduate level. That's lower than that. And you also need to take into account that people are skimming your proposal. They're not really reading it, which means that what they're able to understand as they skim is probably lower than 8th grade writing level overall. And also you have to take into account that even intelligent people have I don't know if it's a study or something, but people have researched this, and even intelligent people prefer to be spoken to in simple, basic English, and they prefer to read text that's written in simple, basic English. Basically, the only people who like complicated English is people who write it because it makes them feel intelligent, or people who feel like it makes them intelligence to be able to write it. But there's a certain point of intelligence where people just, I guess, see that it's bullshit, and they're just getting frustrated that you are not conveying what you can convey in the simplest words that you can use. One thing you can do is you use websites that have online text readability tests on them. Basically, you copy paste your proposal onto these pages online, and it tells you the reading level of your proposal. If it's over 8th grade, probably rework it and try to make it simpler. If you're looking for one of these websites, one of them is readable.com. As of the filming of this video, they have a tool like this that you can use, very easy to use.
All right, now you got the 7 tips. So to make sure that you remember and that these tips get ingrained in your mind, what we want you to do is right now, right away, go on Upwork and apply to 5 jobs and make sure that you're following these 7 tips. That way you make sure that you understand them, and once we start adding some more information and methods, and once we give you a step-by-step method, you have the proper foundational knowledge to start applying that strategy, hopefully successfully.
With that, we'll see you in the next lecture. In this lecture, we're going to talk about how to write a proposal cover letter in 8 steps. Step number 1, you want to read the job posting carefully for a lot of reasons we've already mentioned. All right. You want to make sure you understand the requirements. You want to make sure you understand if they have also requirements on how you write your proposal, that you are aware of them. Next, you want to make a list of keywords that the client is using in the proposal. A lot of clients are not tech people. They may phrase different technologies or requirements in ways that are not common in the industry. Like maybe they're not using the same words or the same way of phrasing sentences as an engineer, software engineer would. Note that, all right? You want to the best way to convey to a client that you understand what they're talking about in a way that they're going to understand what you write is to write the way that they write about this thing. So you use the same keywords, maybe the same types of wording. Number 2, you want to build a title. There's a simple format that you can use that's very simple. I'm going to give you actually 2 formats. One of them is for someone who doesn't have a lot of years of experience. The second one is for someone with a little bit more experience. If you don't have a lot of experience, that means less than 10 years, you want to basically, well, you can use this format. There's others you could use, but this is a simple one that could yield pretty good results. So basically, job title. If you're a web developer, you could say web developer with a strong background in a relevant skill that the specific job you're trying to apply to requires. For example, if it's a WordPress theme job, you could say web developer with strong background in WordPress theme development. If you have over 10 years of experience, you can just say job title with X number of years of experience. For example, UX designer with 14 years of experience. Conveys a lot of an expert status, makes you look good. But if you have less than 10 years, maybe that's not going to impress the client. So limit yourself to 14 plus years, 10 plus years of experience. Next, after you've written your title, you want to write a short paragraph that demonstrates to the client that you understand the requirements of the job. This is the first paragraph that the client is going to read in the body of the text. So because this is possibly the only part that the client is going to read, this is the most important part of your proposal. This is where you want to convey to the client that this is not a copied and pasted proposal, that this is custom tailored to this client, to this job post. You want to convey that you have read, that you understand the job post, and that you're serious enough about this, and you're not the type of person who cuts corner, and so you have read that job posting. So the key points in this section is, number 1, that, as I said, you want to make them see that you understand the job posting if you read the proposal. You want to make sure this is short, all right, because clients are skimming even on the first and second lines of text. So you want to keep it short, 1 to 2 sentences maxed. And what you can do in these sentences is basically you just reformulate the requirements of the job posting, what the client is asking for you. You reformulate it within 1 or 2 sentences. Basically, you summarize the requirements of the job, and you try to use the keywords that the client has been using in the job posting, and avoid synonyms because clients might not understand them.
Yeah, for example, you could have a client like me. Like, I'm the dumbest client ever who hires web developers. I don't know which programming language I need most of the time.
Yeah.
So if you start talking about tech and using different words, I will not know them.
Yeah.
But I pay well, so you want to have clients like me.
But there's things that you include still in the job posting. You don't talk about, for example, PHP. You don't talk about JavaScript, but you talk about other things that you understand that are important to you. You talk about, for example, the thing that you need, maybe a landing page. You need a good, high converting landing page. Maybe that's what you're writing in the proposal. Like, at this point, if you're the freelancer and you see that job posting, sorry, not proposal. The client doesn't write a proposal. He's writing a job posting. But basically, as a freelancer who tries to apply to maybe this job posting where the client asks for a high converting sales page or landing page, maybe being like, oh yeah, I can use JavaScript. No. That's probably not the right approach. Like you're like, hey, so you need a great landing page that can allow you to make a ton more sales of your product. I can help you with that. I have experience in building powerful landing page for multi-million-dollar companies, for example.
And since that's the only thing I know I care about, that hooks me and that makes me want to read the rest of the proposal.
Yeah. Here's a framework you can use. I can help you. Here's the sum. After that, you include the summary of the requirement of the job. In that case, I could say to Oliver, if he was my client that was applying to the job posting we were referring, I can help you build a high converting landing page so you can make more sales with your product online. Step number 4, you want to write bullet points that highlight your relevant skills and experience. All right. Now that you've conveyed that you understand the requirements of the job, you want to convey to the client that you are qualified for that job and maybe that you are possibly the best option, right? So you want to make yourself look competent. If you don't have experience, what you can do is basically, instead of including your experience, you can include your certifications if you have them. If you have relevant certifications that can make you look good, you can include them. If you have none of those, you can include just your skills that you have. Explain maybe to the client why your specific copywriting skills or design skills are ideal for this sort of situation. Maybe you could explain to this client, hey, you know, I've studied in whatever guy's name's premium copywriting course. I've been through the whole course, and you know, I can do that for you. Or maybe you could say, hey, I'm experienced in copywriting. I can do that for you. Copywriting is basically how to write texts that sell. And so I've practiced that, and that would be ideal for this landing page for you, because not only can I design something that looks good, I can write the text myself and make sure that I follow industry specific guidelines for how to write text that converts in your industry.
And that's something not a lot of freelance web developers and freelance web designers understand. Like for someone like me who sell websites and hire people to make these websites, having to hire a ton of people to work on different elements of the website is not preferable. Like having a strong copywriting skill set as a web developer or web designer is so powerful and opens so many job opportunity to you.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's interesting, if not to say surprising, that not a lot of freelancers know about that. And for you watching this course, that's actually an opportunity. Like learning copywriting is valuable, and depending on the type of experience and skills you already have, it might be one of the most powerful tool to include in your proposals to get job.
Yeah, I received a message from one of our clients who has one of the biggest companies in his industry in Canada. And he told me basically this morning that our new pages that we've built for him have allowed him to make a lot more sales. Like for us, this can be a really good testimonial that we can use in the future also to get more sales. And yeah, the thing about being able to do more than just part of a website, if you're selling websites, for example, the reason it makes you more attractive is that clients don't want part of a website and have to hire someone else for another part of the website and have to assemble it themselves. It's stressful for a client, especially when they don't have a tech background. For Oliver, he's going to maybe if he had to hire a copywriter, a designer, and a web developer, that's a lot of time that he needs to spend managing all these people, making sure the website is good. And he doesn't know if all of these elements are going to fit together.
Yeah. And copywriters, good copywriters, I should say, are really hard to find and hire. I always had a hard time finding good copywriters, and since I have a strong background in marketing and sales, I always ended up writing it myself. When I was working on the project and you weren't, or so yeah. And one thing also is, once you level up your career and you start working outside of Upwork, maybe one day you get hired by someone, maybe one day you start your own agency, you'll know that entrepreneurs and companies don't hire freelancers, they buy websites. So you could see yourself as a freelancer, but at the end of the day, they are buying products, even on Upwork. But it just becomes so more obvious when you get out of Upwork. People are buying websites, they're buying a product, they're not hiring freelancers.
Yeah. You can also find maybe partners that you can work with. Maybe you have a friend who just came out of college. He's a designer or an artist. Maybe he could be your web designer and you're a web developer. If you're a web developer and you're not very good at design, or maybe you have a friend that's really good at writing. Maybe you could tell him, hey, can you help me do the writing for my website? I'm not really good at that. And you two could start a micro agency together and apply to these jobs on Upwork or somewhere else. And maybe one of you does more hours than the other. Does that really matter? Like, you can have the other one have a part-time job for some time, or find someone else to help you. And maybe over time, this is going to build into a big agency.
Yeah.
One of the things about this step, about the bullet points that highlight your relevant skills and experience, is that you can often copy-paste a lot of what you write in this section for your future jobs. Like, if you make a proposal for a WordPress theme development job, maybe you can reuse a lot of what you write here for your next WordPress theme development job. Depends, like there could be significant differences in what the client is looking for, but over time, you will probably apply to a lot of different jobs, and some of them might be similar enough that you can reuse a lot of what you write in there, and might be a good idea to take what you write in these sections and put them on a Word document somewhere, maybe arrange them by different types of jobs, and the next time you get a WordPress job, you look at all your previous bullet points that you wrote for WordPress jobs, and maybe you can find something that is perfect for this current job that you're applying to, and that can save you some time as well. So here's what this might look like on your proposal. Okay, this is what you put under what we wrote in the previous step. So here's a title, skills with bullet points, skill 1, skill 2, skill 3. What you're gonna notice here is that these are not bullet points, these are dashes, but they serve the same purpose, right? It works, and Upwork kind of limits you in what you can write and how you can write it in your proposals. You don't have as many options as you would on maybe Google Docs or Microsoft Word. These are perfectly fine ways of doing your bullet points. You don't have to just limit yourself to the name of the skill. You can include also a sentence after it that explains why it's relevant to the job for that specific client.
But I would say only do that if necessary, because you want to keep it as short and concise as possible. So if the information is not 100% necessary, just remove it altogether from the template, from the proposal.
Next, similar projects I've worked on. Project number 1, if we take the example earlier, the person just gave like a list of different links to websites that he probably made or worked on. Like, he could have used something similar, but let's say he used our framework. What this would have looked like is maybe instead of just a link, it's like a website for a university in Utah. Or maybe something with better copywriting, maybe the website for the biggest or the number one university in Utah. and then like you put a link to the website.
Or maybe even the biggest university in Utah, or the biggest CrossFit gym in Texas.
Yeah. One thing that's interesting is, even if it's not the biggest, sometimes you can just write the number one, because number one means absolutely nothing. Like a lot of ads you probably hear on the radio is like, oh, we are the number one radio in New York. But like maybe like 5 different radios say that they're like the number one radio in New York. Like being the number one means absolutely nothing. It's just something that sounds good. So like, who gives a shit how popular this university in Utah is? Like, it's the number one university in Utah. You just don't say like, what's the criteria that you have determined that they're the number one in? Like, technically, there's at least one thing for every university that could make them the number one. Maybe they have the best volleyball team in Utah. I don't give a shit. Like, does it really matter? Are they the number one university? I guess for someone who wants to be in the best volleyball team in Utah, yes. I don't. But like, the number one can be a really easy way to like give credibility to your projects without like needing for them to really be that amazing.
And from what I've experienced, you don't need to do that, but if you see the opportunity to do it, if it makes sense, and if it's kind of legit, or if it's ethical at least, like if it helps you getting the job, feel free to do it. But also just choosing the projects you talk about relative to the job post you're posting your proposal on will also make a huge difference in how successful you might be on with these proposals.
Yeah, not every project is going to be as helpful to give you every different client. They're looking for different things. And even if you choose the same project, sometimes you can phrase them differently with using the keywords of the client, for example. Or in your description after that, like you, in your sentence, you explain why it fits one of the desires that the client has conveyed in the job posting.
Keep in mind that these are proof of efficiency, of professionalism, of skill.
Yeah.
And you want to choose these projects while having that in mind. You don't just give projects you're proud of. It's not about what you like. It's about what makes the proposal you just sent sell.
Yeah. If you have certifications but you don't have relevant experience, here's a simple framework that's very similar. Basically, the only thing we've changed is that instead of having similar projects I've worked on, you have certifications and you follow the same process pretty much, but instead of that you write about your certifications. If you have neither, just include your skills. If you have no skills, no certification, probably it's not the right job for you. Step number 5, write a short sentence that clearly outlines what you plan to do. All right, now you convey that you know what you're about to do. It's still a way to convey that you're an expert. It's also a way to convey to the client that the problem will be fixed, right? So you make them feel like you are able to deliver what they want. Because the thing about a lot of clients who hire freelancers is that they have to sacrifice a lot of money to get what they're looking for For example, a client willing to spend $2,000 need to have a good reason for wanting it. And in this sentence, if you really want to go like basic, you can just go to the need that is shown in the job posting. Like they say they need a WordPress site. Like you can say like, I'll build a WordPress site with X thing. But oftentimes the reason they're willing to spend $2,000 is not because they want a WordPress site. Is because they don't have enough clients right now. They're worried about whether or not their business is going to fail. And they are actually not looking for a WordPress site. They're looking for more customers, more money. And the WordPress site is just a solution, a vehicle that allows them to get more money.
Or maybe they're a web agency and they're actually building this website for a client of theirs. And their goal is to impress them. So they get referrals and they have a good reputation and all that stuff. It's still wealth thereafter, but the way the way they think about it is a bit different.
It's sometimes difficult to figure out like what's the deep down reason why a client is willing to spend so much money on a freelancer. Well, if it's a high-paying project, maybe it's not a lot of money, but there's still like a reason why they spend the time to go on Upwork, and they could have done other things. There's other things that they probably would have liked doing more than making a job posting on Upwork. Not a lot of clients probably feel like it's the most fun thing in the world. But if you don't know what they're looking for, mostly clients are looking for either wealth, status, or time. What I mean by wealth is if they're looking for wealth, typically they're looking for more clients, more money, right? Making more sales. If they're looking for status, it's probably something like, I want to impress my boss. If they're an executive of a company, maybe I just want to look good. Maybe it's just an ego thing. Like they feel like they're an awesome person or an awesome business and they deserve a better looking website because their current website doesn't make them look as good as they feel they are.
You'd be surprised how many people are buying websites just for status. Yeah. Like the biggest websites I've been selling are all for status reasons. They don't need new customers. Yeah. They just want to look good. That's surprising how much money is spent on websites just for showing that you're better than the neighbor.
Yeah. Or oftentimes they just want time. Business owners, they're busy people, all right? Don't you think they'd like to have more time to spend playing video games, spending time with their family? Do you really think like the number one thing they want to do is manage a website or hire freelancers or call clients or like that? Some people really like doing that thing, but I think most business owners would prefer spending time going to the movie theater with their kids, right? And oftentimes they have to work 60 hours a week, maybe less than that, but even if they work 30 hours a week, they would love to have less time to spend on their business probably. So oftentimes, if you can convey that you can help them save time, that can be a really good factor that can help them choose to hire you. And that's not just on Upwork and in your proposal cover letter. Sometimes you notice when you're talking with your clients that they have one or multiple of these desires. And so once you talk with them, maybe on the phone or on a call through Upwork or different places, you notice, okay, he wants time, he's busy. You can start conveying in the interview or on the call that, okay, I can build you a WordPress site, and I'm going to build it in a way that it's going to be easy and fast for you to make modifications on the website. I can even also, if you want, negotiate with you a deal where I can do all the updates for your site for a year or maybe 2 years for not a lot of money. And so you can offer them time by doing a lot of work for them that they will not have to do. Mm-hmm. Or when it comes to status or wealth, the same thing. You start talking with a client and you realize that they tell you don't have enough clients. You can start selling the services that you want to offer them by conveying that what you're going to offer is going to give them these things.
From experience selling websites, I can tell you right away that most clients will not tell you directly what they would be looking for when buying a website. What I've been experiencing is actually you speak with the client, you meet them, and you start by offering, for example, wealth. You say that the website that you're going to build is going to bring them more clients, and then if they're not interested in that, they just tell you, well, I have enough clients. Mm-hmm. Well, we have enough business right now for the whole year. So then you can jump to time, for example. Sure, but there's other benefits of having that great website that I'm about to build you. Like, you're going to be saving so much time. The documents, for example, that your clients have to fill out, they can be filled out on the website. You can just send them a link without having to deal with all the papers and printing everything and signing everything and scanning it and all that stuff. It's all digital. Well, I kind of have enough time and I'm not willing to pay for that. All right. So, well, right now you are a great company. You're the biggest company in the area. And I would just find that very sad for you if you keep that website in that state, because it's not very professional, and the website I'm offering to build you is going to be magnificent. It's going to be really pretty. It's going to be really professional and all that stuff. It's going to be customized to your need.
Yeah, it's going to be able to impress your customers and make your competitors jealous or something like that.
And just to be clear, you don't have to be able to do what I just did when speaking with a client on Upwork. Most of the time, they're just going to be telling you right away what to do, how to do it, and it's going to be really straightforward. But my experience selling websites has been mostly outside of Upwork with high-paying customers that are sometimes paying me more than $8,000 for a website. When working with these types of clients, they are not sold right away and have a little bit of a job to do to get that money.
Mm-hmm. You don't want to be making a big paragraph at this step. Like, you might be tempted to be, okay, like most people want either wealth, status, or time. I'm going to write a short paragraph that tells them I'm going to give them wealth and give them status and give them time. Remember, you want to keep your proposal short, all right? Maybe it could help in some situations to convey all of them, but what we've found is it's better to focus on just one. And most of the time it's going to be difficult for you to notice what the client wants by just reading the job posting. All right, some job postings are short. Sometimes they don't convey that information. Sometimes you're going to realize very clearly by looking at the job posting what the client's probably looking for. But other times, most of the time, you're probably not going to find out. So what we've realized is that in our experience, a good rule of thumb would be that if you're working with smaller companies, you tend to be better off offering wealth. All right, small companies, they often don't make a lot of sales. All right, they're afraid that maybe their business is going to fail, or they're disappointed that they still don't make a lot of money. When you're working with bigger companies, oftentimes you're working with executives. Like, it's not the CEO who's making the job offer. And oftentimes going with status is a better way to go, because a lot of these people just want to impress their boss. So you tell them that this website is going to be impressive, good looking, and professional. That's often exactly what they want to hear. So a framework you could use that's very simple to help you convey those deeper desires that you're going to be able to offer them is simply, I could, what you offer to do for them, so you can, the thing that they really want deep down from your services, without a thing that they don't want. Let's use an example. Let's say that we are conveying wealth. All right. A person who wants wealth doesn't want to spend a lot of money. And typically, sometimes they realize that it's important to invest a lot of money to get a lot of money, but typically they want to spend as little money as possible and get as much money as possible. So what I could say is I could design a professional looking website with good SEO so you can rank higher on Google and get more customers. Cool, more customers equals more money without having to spend hundreds of dollars in Facebook advertising, right? A lot of small businesses spend a lot of their money on Facebook advertising. I think I rarely found small businesses who don't spend money in Facebook advertising. Probably the majority of our small clients have been spending tons on Facebook advertising.
Yeah, and most of them have been losing money that way.
Yeah,
they're not making more money than they spend most of the time. At least from what
they
we've
were
experienced.
making money 5 years ago.
Yeah,
but nowadays, because of the changes in the Facebook algorithm, they're not really making a lot anymore. Step 6, you want to note your hourly rate and how much you would ask the client for the project as a fixed price. You don't have to do both, all right? You could decide that you just want to be paid hourly, in which case just include your hourly rate. You could decide that you just want to do per project, in which case just include per project. Be mindful that clients might require both or might ask you for including a specific one, or may tell you in the job posting that they just want to pay per project or that sort of thing. Follow the client's guidelines, all right? Or don't apply. You don't have to apply to jobs if they really want to pay you hourly and you don't want to. That's your option. But if you want to increases the likelihood that you get hired, like follow the client's guidelines. But if the client doesn't have guidelines, you can just decide to just include one of those.
And a quick tip also, if your hourly rate is really, really high, it's probably preferable you offer a fixed price. That's how I had the most success selling websites, because I'm selling really expensive websites on which we don't work that much. So yeah, depending on the amount of money you end up charging on Upwork, you might be thinking about that. So maybe you get very, very, very successful on Upwork and you get to a point where you can charge a lot of money. Well, you'll probably find out that you have a better odds of getting jobs when only offering a fixed price.
Yeah. And the opposite can apply as well. When you're working with cheaper clients who want to hire the cheapest person possible, they're often going to just compare the hourly rates. But what they don't know is how many hours you're going to spend. Like, if you know you're a beginner and you're slow and it's going to take you a lot of hours, maybe just include the hourly rate. Some clients might be disappointed that it costs them a little bit more money than they expected, but that can be what gets you your foot through the door and gets you your first jobs. In this section, you want to include bullet points, not sentences. I'm going to give you an example after that, just like I did for a previous section. Also, if you think you can finish the project faster than other freelancers or faster than the client expects, it could be valuable to include it here, all right? A lot of clients want the project to be done as fast as possible, and conveying to them that you can finish a project faster than they expect or faster than the other freelancers who apply will probably give them as deadlines. Those can be selling factors that increase the chance that you get picked, because clients might be like, oh, really? I could hire this guy that maybe looks better, or this guy that could finish a project faster. This could be the determining factor that ends up becoming what makes the client choose you instead of someone else. So here's a framework you can use. Very simple. Rates, hourly rates. Here's your hourly rate. Fixed price project. Availability. And availability is not necessary, but a lot of clients will like to know that if they need to call you or contact you, you'll be available to respond. And you can just write in there when you're working, which days a week, which hours that you are available. And the more that you have available, the more this is going to be a selling point to some clients. Some clients want to have direct access to you, direct communication. And actually, a lot of clients say in their job posting, there's often like sentences where they look mad. They're like, we want serious freelancers, not freelancers who are just going to ghost us and only message us back when the project is finished like 2 months later. This is a serious position. We want you to be available. And like, I've seen a lot of job postings where the clients are really mean and angry. The freelancers have not been answering their messages or that kind of thing, which is valuable for you to know that if you want to have work-life balance, you need possibly to be clear about that to your clients, which could reduce the chance that you get hired. Or maybe Upwork is not for you, right? Being available, being willing to answer clients when they want you to, being willing to update or do something quick for them when they need you, those can be selling factors on Upwork.
If your availabilities are really complex and like Monday you're available from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. and the next day you're available only in the morning, and the day after you're available 24 hours in a day, like I would say dumbing it down, like make it simpler, like what's preferable is your availabilities are Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. or like always the same hours every day that you're working. And what are the days you're working?
Yeah,
that's also preferable. You're working from Monday, for example, Monday to Tuesday, or I should say Thursday, not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday you're off, then Friday and Saturday you're working. That makes it more complicated on your proposal. That's just all about how well it conveys the information. So if your availabilities are complex,
the client is going to look at
simpler.
If it's too complex, the client might just look at that. Okay, he's available on Monday, Wednesdays at evenings. It's like, this guy looks too complicated to work with. Let's just choose someone else.
I wouldn't even read the availabilities if they're too complex and weird. It doesn't matter if, for example, on Mondays you are available more than what you've wrote on the proposal. What matters is if you said that you would be available at a given moment, that you are.
Yeah. Step number 7, simply, you put everything together. Very easy. Like, all the steps that we've given you so far are in the correct chronological order. Basically, the only thing that you need to add at this point is add a title before step number 4, the sentence that you wrote, which is what I could do for you. And after that, you have your sentence that's basically I could, what you deliver, so you can, and that sentence that you wrote, you put it there, you add the title, and basically you see this format: simple, clear, concise. Obviously yours is probably going to be a little bit longer because you have full sentences, and your step number 2 and step number 4 are obviously going to be longer than just like 5 words. But hopefully what you can see here is that your proposal that you design it should look good to a lot of clients. It's simple, easy to read, and so yeah, that there's other ways you could make it, but like with bullet points and titles just like this, it's something that as a client it's so much better than most of what we see with long paragraphs that look like a school text. It's like, yeah.
To make sure that it's good enough, just maybe think about that. It has to be as satisfying to look as possible. It needs to be aesthetically pleasing to see. It needs to be short and simple. The main benefit of this framework is for your client to be able to go and see only the information that he's after, or her that she's after. So the way you communicate that as easily as possible is by making it aesthetically pleasing.
Step number 8, trim the fat. Obviously, like when you write your first draft, sometimes your sentences are maybe too long. Sometimes some of what you write isn't very interesting. What you want to do is oftentimes just you take everything you wrote, keep the most interesting and the most important elements, everything that's either not interesting and not important, cut it out. Find ways to make your sentences shorter while still being clear, easy to read. The only thing that you don't really want to cut, besides important and interesting information, is the keywords that you use for your clients. Sometimes it's easier to rewrite some of these sentences using synonyms that are shorter. Well, sometimes the clients might not understand these synonyms, so keep using their keywords. Mm-hmm. So now, before you move on to the next section, I'll give you homework. I want you to write 5 proposals using this process. If you find clients who are asking you for other different types of formats or that kind of thing, maybe save those job postings, find another one, find 5 job postings that you can follow this process without breaking their requirements, and send them. All right, so in this lecture, we're going to talk about more long-term success strategies that you could use that could improve your success long-term with your proposals. Strategy number 1, follow up. What you can do is that you can, number 1, you can send another message to clients when they have messaged you back after you sent a proposal, but you didn't get the job, all right? Maybe they asked you a couple of questions, maybe they gave you an interview, but you didn't hear about it again. You can message the client again. Like, this is going to allow you to come back into their thoughts and increase the likelihood that they choose you instead of someone else. It also conveys a certain sense of professionalism.
Maybe they decided to go with another freelancer, but it didn't go so well. And now they are hiring again for that same job. But you're not the last freelancer they've been talking to before taking the decision to hire the other guy. Maybe there's been 15 other freelancers along the way. So now you're really, really, really far into their messages option. So they won't necessarily think of you at first.
Yeah. You can also message back clients who have given you a job in the past but haven't given you a job in a long time. You just check back with previous clients and like, hey, are you still satisfied with the job I've done? Would you be interested in working again together? Something like that. It can allow you to have an opportunity to send them another proposal or convince them that they might benefit from another type of service or product that you can offer. And they might be like, oh yeah, you know what? He's right. That could really help us. And so they ask you to send a proposal. The moment you want to send your follow-ups, if you're messaging clients that you never worked for, that basically have messaged you back after your proposal, because you can't message a client that has not messaged you back after a proposal. Otherwise, like the platform would be filled with spammers, right? So the way that Upwork is set up is that you can only message clients who have messaged you back after a proposal. So the moment you want to send your follow-ups in these circumstances is generally after a few hours, your first proposal, all right? So you've talked with them. After a few hours, you send them a follow-up, something like maybe, well, actually, we're going to give you examples later that you can use. You can send another second follow-up if they didn't respond to that follow-up 1 day after the last message that they sent you. So the next day, pretty much.
With just a calendar, a Google Calendar or any other type of calendar, it's so easy. It's so easy to do that it makes it all worth it. Just use a calendar, a digital calendar with reminders, and it should all work fine.
So here's examples for clients that have not hired you yet. All right, you send a proposal, they message you back, they haven't responded. Maybe it can be used for previous clients that you talk with them and you're like, hey, would you be interested? And they're like, yeah, but they don't message you back. You could use that if you don't message you back. All right. Number one, first follow up. Hi, name of the client. So maybe hi, John. Just wanted to check in regarding the, talk about the project a bit. If you have any questions or need additional information, please let me know. I'm available to chat further at your convenience. Thanks. Your name. All right.
Please don't copy and paste the name of the job post.
Yeah.
To replace project.
Oh God. Yeah, that would be a red flag. Like, we're talking about why you don't want to send proposals that look copied and pasted. This is the way you make follow-up that look too copied and pasted. And some of these sentences you can like rephrase, make them seem more natural if that's not really the way that you would talk. But like overall, this is like an example that shows what it could look like. Second follow-up, very simple. You don't want to send like long texts to clients that you've never met. Like the first follow-up, you want to make sure it's short, but the second one, you want to make sure it's really, really short. So it's something simple like that, like any updates, ? Your name. Simple as that. A client who receives both of these messages doesn't necessarily feel very overwhelmed by the messages you've sent. You don't look too needy. You just look, I guess, professional.
You look professional. You look like you're dealing with all the jobs. You have all the opportunities you have properly, like a professional would do, like an expert.
Here are now examples for communicating with past clients. Number one, after a month. Hi, John. I hope you're doing well. I just want to check if you're still satisfied with the work I've delivered. Again, it's not needy. It's just like, hey, I'm offering to be there for you if you have problems. If there's anything I can help you with, please let me know. I'm available and eager to work with you again if you need more help. Best regards, your name. 2 months after that, hi, John. I'm advertising my services in case you might be interested in working with me again. Here are my skills. The reason you want to include this is that clients might not remember you.
Oh, they will probably not remember you. If they work with a lot of freelancers on Upwork, they won't remember you. If they are working with only a couple of freelancers from time to time, then they might remember you if they've been working with you with like, they probably won't remember you. Just being honest out there. Like, think about it. If they've been only hiring 1, 2, 3 freelancers on the platform in maybe 6 months, then they move on and they don't necessarily go back on Upwork all the time. If the people that this type of message will work on are the people that are consistently on the platform, consistently looking for hiring other freelancers, more freelancers, better freelancers for different types of job, 99% of the time, they won't really be sure who you are and what you're offering as a service.
Yeah. They might remember your photo. They might remember they were satisfied with you, but what project did he work on again?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
it's nothing to take personal. It's just that they have 80 people, maybe 30 in some case, sending them messages, proposals every time they post a job. If they post jobs every few weeks, every other weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have so many freelancers in their life, they can't really remember you that easily.
Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons these might work, all right, is that, a client who needs to make a job post doesn't necessarily want to post a job post, right?
No.
If he's like, okay, now I need to hire a web designer again, so I need to make a job post. It's going to take a couple of hours, like building it, or maybe minutes, depending on the project. But it's like, they don't really want to have to go through all the proposals. If a freelancer they've hired in the past that they trust messages them and like, hey, I'm advertising my skills. Do you need a web designer right now? They're going to be like, great. I don't have to make a job posting. I don't have to do these interviews. I can just, this guy is willing to work for me. Mm-hmm. Right. And it doesn't happen all the time, but it's a numbers game. Right. How many clients will you offer jobs to? There's a certain number of them who might need your services again in the future. And if you can hit them with the right timing, maybe they're going to decide to not make that job offer and just choose you. Maybe they're going to tell you, oh, we might have something for you in a couple of weeks or months, or, you can follow up on that after that.
And that's one more reason why you shouldn't close the contracts when you're done with a project. They can always just add a new milestone to the project and keep working with you. So by doing that, you end up being in their freelancers that they're working with right now, even though you didn't talk to them for three months. Mm-hmm. And also recently, Upwork added a fee for clients. It's not much. It's only $5, but it's $5 every single time they hire a new freelancer, every time they start a new contract.
Mm-hmm.
So it also gives you a small edge over the other freelancers. If you've been working with them and you didn't close the contract yet, it's just a small little tiny bit of an edge that you can maybe gain on the other freelancers.
Mm-hmm. After that, you say, let me know if you have any upcoming projects where I can assist. Best your name. Again, it's not very needy, right? It's you're still advertising your services, but you're not like, hey, please, I need more jobs. I don't have a lot of jobs right now. I really need you. Please give me. No, it's like, hey, I'm a professional. I'm doing what I'm doing. You need me? I'm here. It's all right if you don't need me. I'm willing to assist you if you need it.
Yeah, I'm a professional. I sell my services. You're a professional. You sell your services, and you need my services sometimes. It's like, let's work together if you need it.
Yeah. They might ignore your messages. Don't take it personally. The biggest mistake you can make is be like, oh, you didn't respond to my messages. I messaged you 2 times and you haven't messaged. Like, don't you you need to be more respectful. Like, I've seen so many of these follow-ups. It's ridiculous. Like,
I'm laughing, but it's really not something to laugh at. It's just sad to see that some freelancers on Upwork are so desperate for jobs that they end up feeling that way about clients, about the people that are actually making their dream lifestyle possible.
Yeah, clients receive so many messages oftentimes, and if they don't respond, maybe they just haven't signed in to Upwork for a couple of days or weeks. Maybe they just have so many messages, or they're so busy they just don't have time to respond. People are rarely mean, purposefully mean. I've rarely met people who were like, oh, I'm gonna not message and leave him on red because, like, it happens, I guess, with some. I guess I've seen some mean girls do that, right?
I don't know.
But like clients and professionals that especially previous clients that you've given satisfying results, they're not gonna be like, ha, ha, that good freelancer, that motherfucker, I'm not gonna respond just because I want to be a dick. Like, these guys, there's reasons why they're not responding. It's probably because they're busy, right?
Yeah, nothing to take personal, nothing to nothing to be upset about, really.
Right. So don't try to shame your clients for not answering. In fact, if you don't answer, it doesn't mean that 6 months later when they come back to Upwork because they have another job, they see in their messages that a freelancer told them that they're doing web design, and if they're interested in a web designer, they can hire you. Like, it's not because you messaged them 3 months earlier that they're not gonna be like, oh shit, maybe I could message this guy again, right? So don't burn your bridges with a client just because he doesn't stop responding, just because it doesn't respond right away, right?
One small tip I could give you: if you feel upset, if you're mad at your client, just take a step back. Go take a walk. Go get a glass of water. Right. Think about it. Listen to some music, some Bob Marley or anything really smooth and calm, and think about it carefully before you answer, because again, you don't want to burn the ships. You don't want to break all possible hopes of getting work with that customer again just because at the moment you're really emotional about it. Be thoughtful.
Strategy number 2, continuously improve your skills and knowledge. If you can get better at finding jobs, that can help you find higher paying jobs or find jobs easier. If you can continuously work on getting better at your career skills, if you're a designer, getting better at art and design, that can help you. Like, it can help you have a better portfolio, it can help you make clients more satisfied, more likely to hire you again. Practicing what we teach in this course, practicing how to write good proposals, following online courses, reading books. Those are all great resources that I think if we hadn't done those things, we wouldn't be here today.
So not all these are equally important. Of course, learning copywriting, improving your web development skills, like your coding skills, improving the designs you make, will probably help you in a significant way. But you shouldn't be spending 10 hours a week working on that. If you're already pretty good at building websites, maybe you can find new ways, more efficient ways of improving the quality work you can provide for your customers without having to spend tens of hours every week or every month improving slightly your skills without being too sure if it will at the end of the day improve your paycheck as well.
Yeah, there comes a point where there's a diminishing return in learning your career skills. And I think for unless you're a beginner and you're not delivering at least satisfying results to your clients, if you're not that beginner, there's probably going to be massively more returns in focusing on your sales skills and marketing skills when it comes to your paycheck. Strategy number 3, stay persistent. All right. One of the problems with Upwork is it remains the most competitive market in the world, right? The most competitive online freelance market. So a lot of new freelancers don't get the results that they expect. Even if you work hard on your profile and your proposals, it might take you some time before you start seeing the results that you are expecting. All right. So don't get discouraged. Keep improving, keep doing your best, and keep sending proposals.
Yeah.
Don't stop after 5 or 10 proposals and be like, oh, I couldn't get a job. I sent 10 proposals and I couldn't get a job. I actually quit Upwork once after sending less than 20 proposals, being mad that no one answered me. But like, understand, this is a numbers game. Clients are busy, and I didn't have very good proposals. I didn't have a good profile. I didn't have a good anything, right? So I didn't stand out, right? Practice, 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 get better, and keep sending proposals.
Yep.
So to recap, good long-term success strategies are to follow up with potential and past clients, to continuously try to learn and improve your skills, both sales skills and your career skills, and be persistent. By following these strategies, you can improve your chances of success in the proposal process on Upwork and with freelancing in general. Hey, welcome to lesson number 5 on how to price your services and determine your hourly rate. First, I'm going to talk about the different pricing options for contracts. When sending your proposal, you can offer your services for hourly payment, fixed price payments for the whole project, or fixed price payments for project milestones. Here's how hourly payments work. So it's simple. You tell the client how much money you want them to pay you for every hour that you work, and then you track the amount of hours that you work, and then at the end they give you the money based on how many hours you work and how much each of those hours are worth. It's possible for the client to also give limits to how many hours that you can work in a week. So if you work over that, it's possible you will not get paid, but all of that is stuff that you're going to have to discuss with the client. So here's how fixed price payment work. So how it works is very simple. Essentially, you just say, hey, this project is something I'd be willing to do for you for maybe like $1,000 or $200 or whatever the amount is. You tell them how much you want to get paid for the whole project. If they agree, you do the whole project, and at the end, you get paid that amount of money. The last payment method is just milestone. Milestone is simply the same thing as per project payment, fixed price payments, but instead of it being a fixed price that's for the whole project, you can break down the whole project into smaller parts, and you can get paid at the end of every part. So perhaps the first milestone would be a first meeting with the client, and maybe the next milestone would be to make a draft of your final product, and maybe the last milestone might be your delivery of the final finished result of your project. And you determine how much you want to get paid at each parts of these projects, at each milestones. If the client agrees, well, you get these fixed payment amounts once you finish each milestone. So most freelancers have a preference over one of these payment methods, and they tend to like the others less. But the problem that we have is that when the clients create the job posts, sometimes they set parameters that you can only offer your services with one of the payment options or two of the payment options and not the others. And since we can't always apply to jobs with our preferred payment method, it's also good to learn how to use all three successfully. A lot of people will be really good at determining an hourly rate, but not really good at determining how much you want to get paid for the whole project and determine what to ask for a fixed price. And then a lot of people are good at asking for a fixed price, but coming up with a good hourly rate and tracking hours or stuff that they find less easy or more annoying. But with really little experience, it doesn't take a lot of experience for you to get comfortable with how to determine a good hourly rate and how to determine how much to ask for milestone payments or how much to ask for a fixed price payment for the whole project. It's only confusing at the beginning, but in my experience, after just 2 months of working in the field, it all became really easy for me. So if it seems overwhelming at the start, don't worry about it. It's going to get a lot easier really quickly. So now I'm going to talk about strategies you can use to price your proposals. The first thing I want to say before I go into the strategies, and I have many strategies. In fact, I'm going to share with you in this video, this audio actually, 7 strategies that you can use. But through all these strategies, one of the things that's really important is that you should completely ignore what your competitors are charging. Do not try to base your rates on that. Instead, here are the strategies that I recommend. So strategy number 1 is you can offer attractive rates in your proposal and then change them for the contract. So what you do is essentially your rates that you're offering in your proposal are lower than the rates that you want to charge at the contract. So what that does is that it increases the chance that the client starts discussing the project with you, and when they discuss the project with you, it increases the chances that you get the project. So you can change your rates after sending the proposal. You only send an official offer, an official offer for an official contract after the client has decided to start messaging you. So you can start discussing the details of the project and then give them your real hourly rate and possibly change it if you realize the scope of the project is bigger than you had estimated. So a strategy you could decide to do would be, instead of offering your exact hourly rate, is just to offer the exact hourly rate that you believe based on what you know about the client and the job, and also the market. You give the hourly rate or the fixed price that is closest to, well, that you feel will give you the highest percentage chance of getting a reply to your proposal. Obviously, you need to make sure that it's not too far removed from your actual hourly rate, because then the client is just going to decline. Like you have a certain degree that you can play with, but you can't go from saying, hey, I can do it for $10 and then ask them for 10,000. And some people, for you, the easiest thing that you can do is just to always offer the amount of money that is what the client set as the budget on the job post, if the client set one. And this can be a good strategy because you don't have to spend a lot of time figuring out what you should offer. And you know the client is probably going to be okay with the hourly rate that you offer in your proposal, because that's the hourly rate that they said they wanted to pay on average, or fixed price. And also, it's good to take into account that budget that the client set for the project before sending your proposal, because oftentimes if you send a proposal for an amount of money that is too high, too much bigger than the budget that the client set, oftentimes you're going to get your proposal ignored for that, because obviously, like, if you offer to do the job for twice the amount of money or significantly more the amount of money, and the client is saying that they want to pay, well, it's obvious that a lot of clients will not want to work with you. And one of the things you can do, if you figure out that the budget of a client is much lower than what you want to charge, you can decide to offer in your proposal an amount of money that is kind of halfway between what the client's budget is and what your desired rate is, so that you, in some sense, increase the chance that the client messages you and you can start discussing the project further and selling yourself. But at the same time, it's kind of in between, which means that it also makes it easier for you to offer your bigger hourly rate, your real hourly rate, or big desired rate afterward. With that said, strategy number 2 is always assume it's going to take more hours of work than you expect. So this strategy applies to fixed price and milestone projects. And the thing is, oftentimes people, when they offer their milestone rates and fixed prices for the whole project, it's easy for people to guess the amount of time the project will take and guess it wrong and end up working a lot more hours than they expected without getting paid more, and that can crush you in the beginning. And it's in the beginning usually that you struggle to evaluate how much time it's going to take the most, especially time spent doing revisions at the end of the project to make everything to the client's taste.
Maybe you know how long it takes to build a website on your own as the way you like it, but it's completely different when you have a client who asks you to do 20 hours of changes at the end because he doesn't like things that you feel are completely irrelevant or stupid, and asks you to change things that make the website worse. If you don't give yourself some margin of time to cover these unexpected or incalculable additions to the hours of work that you'll have to do, well, you end up making a lot less money per month, per year than you could and maybe you expect would. So it's always good to give yourself an extra margin when you're doing these fixed price projects and milestone projects. A rough estimate at the beginning that seemed to work for me is that if you charge about 30% more than you think the project would take without the unexpected extra steps, well, at least in my experience, it covered enough to end up making the amount of money that I wanted to make from the beginning. All right, let's talk about strategy number 3. So you can choose fixed price or milestone projects so you can make more money total. So in my experience, the advantage of these fixed price and milestone jobs are that you can usually charge an amount of money that allows you to overall, on average, you make more per hour per project than you would if you were to charge hourly. And the reason for that is that everyone has a lot of experience. Every client has a lot of experience thinking in terms of hourly rates, and they can get a feel about when an hourly rate feels too high or feels too low. But when it comes to fixed price projects, especially when they're buying services that they never bought before, it's harder for them to evaluate if your rates are too high or too low because they don't have a frame of reference. So if, for example, you say, hey, I charge $100 an hour, well, the client is likely to think that they can probably find someone cheaper. But if you say the website is $3,000 and they've never bought a website and it takes you about 30 hours to make it, hypothetically, well, it's still $100 an hour technically, but to the client, it's like, oh, a $3,000 for a website? Okay, that sounds kind of reasonable, while the $100 an hour might sound a lot more unreasonable. So that's just an example. So strategy number 4 is to keep your hourly rate high. Look, I understand how a lot of new freelancers feel. You feel insecure and you're afraid that you will not be able to get jobs. So a lot of you will end up trying to offer low hourly rates to almost guarantee that you will get the job when you start out, but that's not how it works. If you try to lower your hourly rate thinking that, if I charge like $4 an hour, I'm guaranteed to at least have jobs and get 5-star reviews and start making a lot of money. It's not really how it works. I mean, it can work, but there's better ways of going about it. And it can absolutely crush you if you send 20 proposals or 30 or 50 proposals at $4 an hour and no one gives you the job. Like, that's going to crush your self-esteem real quick. And of course, hourly rate's a factor, but clients absolutely, most clients do not want to get the absolute cheapest freelancer that they can get. They're looking for other traits too. And it's much easier to get jobs starting out by creating a good profile and creating a good proposal cover letter than by just lowering your hourly rates to the point that you feel it's so ridiculous that they should give you a job. The problem is that even if you give a low hourly rate, you probably will still not look professional enough for them. And actually, having a low hourly rate makes you look unprofessional. So a lot of clients will ignore you for that. There's a point to which lowering your hourly rate decreases your ability to get jobs. So keeping hourly rates high allows you to make more money per job, but also can help you get jobs with certain clients, the clients who are looking for quality and not just looking for the cheapest freelancer possible. And especially if you're working in fields like web development, a lot of clients are going to be afraid of working with people who don't charge a lot of money. They want people who charge more money because, well, they want it without realizing that that's what they want, because they feel like if they pay more money, they're more likely to have a reliable product. But that's kind of a bad reasoning on their part. But people make emotional purchases, and it reassures them to think that they get what they pay for, and that if they pay more money, their website's going to be more trustworthy, a bit more secure, and all these other traits that they're looking for, when in reality, some freelancers from India can make a really, really good website for like $5 an hour. And if you pay like a guy in the US $35, he might do a worse job. But to clients, it seems more reliable to hire the guy who charges $35 in some cases. So it's not your job to decide if an hourly rate is too big for a client. It's their job. And you should actually test it out and try to find hourly rates that you get the best percentage chance of getting the job and the best amount of money per job. You do an average of that to figure out which hourly rate actually gives you the most money per year, or the most money for the least amount of hours worked, depending on what you care most about. If you care about having the most time possible, or caring about having the most money per year, or caring about a mix of both, like you can do your test and figure out what's best for you. So your job is not to decide for them what your services are actually worth. Your job is not to decide for them if your hourly rate is too high or too low. Your job is actually to give them an hourly rate that you feel would give you the best results for your life. On average, statistically, based on your tests. And if you don't know, like, test it out, try different hourly rates, and you'll figure it out. And then your job with a client is to actually explain to them, demonstrate the value that they're going to get for what they pay, and hope that they will feel like that value is worth the hourly rate that you're offering. And if you get good results with that hourly rate, cool. Keep using it, and test occasionally to try to make it higher to see if people give you more jobs. If you fail with that hourly rate over a long period of testing, well, cool. You know that this hourly rate doesn't seem to work for you. Find another one. And when you're charging hourly, the minimum you should charge is the rate that's on your profile. You can charge more, but you should not charge less. When you charge less than the rate that's on your profile, you look desperate for work, which is a signal to clients that you probably are not that good, because the way a lot of clients think is that, at least like subconsciously, is that if you were good, you would not need to lower your rates. So it communicates that they probably can negotiate your prices down even more, or ask you to do more work than you expected to do without you being able to complain about it, because they feel like you don't really have a choice but to do what they want. So charging lower than your hourly rate on your profile is a bad idea. All right, let's talk about strategy number 5. This is one of my favorite. When you don't like the job, when you don't want to do the job, charge more. I love this strategy. I don't want to be dreading my work day because I have to do a job that I don't want to do for not that much money. I want to feel good about my work, whether it's because I get paid a lot of money for it, or whether it's because I want to do that job. So strategy number 6 is to adjust your rates based on your relationship with the client. So the way it works is that when you have been working with a client before and they want to work with you again, they choose to work with you again because they trust you. And clients are afraid that when they hire a new freelancer, that freelancer will not be as reliable Hiring a new person is always a risk. And if they trust you, a lot of clients will just see it as a better path to just hire you again because they trust you and they feel it's less risky to hire you. So what you can do is you can then increase your rates, and oftentimes they will accept your higher rates. And also, one of the relationships you can have with a client is also if they invite you to a project but you never knew them before, it's also in some sense some form of relationship. It's like they found on their own your profile and they liked it, so they already believe that you are probably a good freelancer, which means that they already have a trust toward you, a relationship of trust, and then it means that you can probably charge more money even in your first job with a client because they have that trust in you based on how competent you looked on your profile and wherever they found you. Maybe it's on social media, maybe it's on different places, but usually on if they invite you to a job on Upwork, it's probably because they found your profile. You can offer more money because a lot of times they're already like half sold on you because otherwise they wouldn't probably not have invited you. So last strategy number 7 is to charge more to clients who tend to be willing to pay more. If you find clients who offer high budgets on their job posts, or if you find out on the client's profile that they usually pay a lot of money, charge more than you're usually charging. There's a decent chance that they will agree. So yeah, if you have any questions, ask me in the comments. This is supposed to be the last session. This is supposed to be the last video in this course. So thanks, and I wish you a great day. You can also check out other courses that I have on my channel if you want to learn more about freelance and how to be successful. So yeah, wish you a great day. Bye-bye.